You can do it. Hey, we are live. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
We're here and we're ready to talk about the Librarians.
Yay!
Yay!
I don't know. I can't remember how to run my own live control chat. So
you do it only every week.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. But I guess we might as well just immediately go in the questions because I want the chat, guys, send in your questions because we're going to go back and forth between us and the chat. So we can try to get in as many as we can because we're all excited and we want to learn everything it is about what you did for this episode, Lindy. It's awesome.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be able to talk to you about
it. We're grateful to have you. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
All right. So we were talking about Stephanie. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, congratulations on directing. That's really exciting. And I was really excited when I found out you were going to direct an episode because the statistics for women in those roles are kind of, so congratulations on that. And I was wondering, is that something you would always wanted to do? Did they ask you if you wanted to do it, or how did that happen?
It is something that I've always been interested in. I mean, I've been doing this, I've been acting for a really long time. I started acting when I was in high school, professionally. So I've been at it for, a long time. And I think everyone sort of who's in the business, you get such a great view of what everyone else does. And I have so much respect for what everyone does on set. And directors, particularly to me, have always been these sort of mythical creatures who could do anything. Writers and directors to me were always like, oh my God, they're so amazing. I could never do that. But I always hoped I would one day be able to do it and thought about it. And I was talking to, I talked to a bunch of my friends about it and they were all super encouraging. And so when I had my story meeting with Dean Devlin at the beginning of the year, I asked him if I could shadow him while he was directing. And shadowing is basically the film version of interning. You just literally turn into that person's shadow. And so I asked him if I could be his shadow while he was directing this season because I really wanted to learn. And I know that we've had female directors on the show in the past. And I know that that's something that Dean is, always looking for. And I was hoping that one day I could be one. And I sort of gave this pitch about how I wanted to follow him and learn from him because he's been so great to me. And he was like, oh, you should do it. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, oh, you should do episode 10. You should direct episode 10. It's gonna be great. And I was in the meeting and Marco Schnabel was in the meeting, who's another one of our executive producers and writers. And we were both like, what? And he was like, yeah, it's a great idea. It's perfect. Lindy's amazing at this. You're totally going to direct it. You don't need to shadow. Everything's going to be great. You'll shadow all the episodes leading up to the one that you do. You'll do 10 and it's going to be perfect. And I walked out of that meeting. I couldn't feel my legs. I don't know what happened after that. But his confidence in me and his belief that I could do it was so inspiring and so amazing, and I wanted to do so well for him because he believed in me so immediately. He really didn't even question it, which was so flattering and so supportive and so amazing. And so that's how it came about.
Did they give you that one because it was the Jenkins episode?
They gave me that one not entirely. I think it was one of the ones that didn't have a director attached to it already. I think Noah had already been attached to his episodes and Dean had been attached to his because of their schedules. And so there were a couple that were sort of floaters that were, they hadn't found directors yet. And I think the reason that this one worked so well for me was because I do work really well with John and I love him so much and everyone knew that. And so, so I think everyone was excited to see how that would work.
That's awesome. I'm actually really curious because John Kim and Christian Kane had been saying in interviews, I think John actually told us that you shadowed Noah Wiley. So you actually shadowed everyone up to your episode?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I paid attention. to everyone that was on set, and I always have. I always really, have always paid attention to directors because I want to be the best actor I can be. And Noah was actually so incredible to me. He and I spent a lot of time together talking about directing and talking about acting and talking about production and how our show works and how our show is different from other shows and how sort of what a director's role is from start to finish. I was never able to shadow fully anyone in the parts that I most needed to shadow, which was because I was shooting. I worked almost every day this season. I only had, I think, 2 days off. So those days I was able to go, and I actually ended up shadowing Mark Roskin on both of those days. Actually, no, that's not true. I shadowed Roskin one day and Dean one day, so I could be in prep with them and learn how that process works and go to a production meeting, which was my first production meeting, because they never invite actors to those things because they say terrible things about actors during their meeting.
Oh.
Not really. They don't. They don't say terrible things, but they're talking about us as if we, you know, they're just trying to organize the whole shoot. So it's like, yeah, they'll figure it out.
Oh. Well, someone in the chat was it Tao of Pi asked, what were some of the challenges to being both in front of and behind the camera at the same time? Was it odd directing yourself during this episode?
Yeah. Hi, Tao of Pi. Yeah, it was, the days that I had to actually be in front of the camera and behind the camera were the worst. I'm not in this episode as much as I am in some of the other episodes, which I'm super grateful for. Our writers, Marco Schnabel wrote the episode that that airs tonight, and he wrote such a fantastic script, and I'm not in it that much, so it made it really a lot easier for me. But it was like having a personality disorder. I just figured out. I had one scene, I think, before I had to be in front of the camera, and I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Things were going really well. The first scene we shot was amazing. It's one of the scenes in Jenkins' lab. Look for it. I think it's the only scene we shot in Jenkins' lab, and that was my first scene that I ever directed. And then we went into the main library, into the annex, and our main set. And I was in the middle of the scene, and all of a sudden everyone stopped talking, and I was just looking around, like directing, like watching, and I realized it was my line, and I've never forgotten a line before. Like I've never just blanked. And everyone turned and looked at me, and like the camera guys were like, and the boom operator was like, everyone was like, it's your line. But everyone was super supportive, so it was really sweet. But it was difficult. That was difficult, was sort of trying to stay present in both worlds at the same time.
Oh, I'm sure you did amazing at it, and I can't wait to see tonight's episode.
Cool.
All right, who wants to ask their question next? Anyone? Guys, come on. Help me out.
All right.
Becks.
If you could be anybody else in the show, who would you be?
If I could be anyone else on the show, who would I be? You know, I think I don't know. All these characters are so different, and they're only great, I think, because of the actors who play them. So I don't think I could do justice to any other part. That being said, I love Flynn's dialogue. I love the way Flynn speaks. I know it is very similar to the way Cassandra speaks in that it's a lot of information, and it's a lot of the pace is really fast, which I love. I love speaking quickly. So I think that would be fun for me. I think I'd have a good time playing Flynn. But I couldn't do it. I don't think I would be as good as Noah. I'd be too girly. But if I could play a different part, that's what I would want to do, because I think it's a really fun character.
I can imagine you playing Flynn. I think it'd be a fun role to have as a woman, too, I think.
Yeah, I think so, too. It would be really different.
Yeah, who? Okay. Actually, of course, this is the first question I see. Flynn Jackson in the chat just asked if you have any future plans to direct, like for maybe if we get a season 5 or just other projects in the future.
I would love to. Yeah, I had the best time doing it. I really did. And you guys have seen a little bit from the Comic-Con stuff and from interviews that the guys have done and on Twitter. Everyone's been super supportive. Dean has been incredibly supportive. All of our producers have been great about it. I think the episode, I'm really proud of it. I think it went really well. So I'm hoping that if we get a season 5, I'd be asked to do another one. I would really love to do another episode and work with more of the cast. Like I would love to do a Baird episode because I love Rebecca so much. She's one of my best friends, and I would love to be able to work with her.
I have a question.
Okay.
What was it like going from acting alongside John Larroquette to directing him?
I mean, it was so amazing. So when I was a kid, I watched Night Court. It was my favorite TV show. I have the box set. I can't, the fact that I go to work with it, sometimes it makes me cry. The fact that I get to work with him every day is really one of the great honors of my career. I adore him as a person, and I love him as an actor, and I respect him so much, and the way he's handled his career, and his different abilities are he's so deep and so vast as an actor. And I was so nervous to work with him. We talked a lot beforehand about how things would go on set, and he was so supportive and so excited, and he really gave me everything he had. And he really he just showed up every day and was so amazing. And I think we worked really well together, and I think that I was able to talk to him in a way that other directors might not have been, because I'm so familiar with his work and I'm so familiar with what he's capable of, and I just believe in him so much. So I pushed him to be the best version of himself and of Jenkins that he could be. So I think it was great. I think it went really well. I loved him even more when I finished than I had when I started, which I didn't think was possible. But he's so wonderful, and I love working with him in every capacity that I can.
Did you ever see him? You can tell that you love working with him.
Oh yeah. Did you ever see him in The 10th Kingdom?
Yeah.
Because I saw him in that as a kid, and I fell in love with it, and I loved him so much. And I also loved the Librarian movies as a kid. They were like my feel-good movies. And then I found out that there was a Librarian show, and he was in it, and I was like, because it was it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was so excited. I told him on one of the first days I worked with him, I said we should have trailer the first season. We had trailers next to each other, and now we've changed that, and Rebecca and I are together because girls should be next to girls. The way it should be. But year one, I was with John, and I told him one day, I remember walking into trailers, and I was like, Mr. Larroquette, I just want you to know that I watched Night Court when I was a kid, all the time. It's my favorite show. My friend's mom used to record it on a VHS tape for us. And when we come home from school, we'd have a snack and watch Night Court on VHS. And he was like, oh God, you're a child. I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. But I love him.
That's fantastic.
Well, I mean, comparatively.
I know, since you seemed really happy to be directing him, I'm glad you got that experience. But was it Megan Samuelson in the chat was wondering if you were nervous at all while directing him, or if it was just more a totally happy experience?
I was nervous. I was nervous the first time I went up to him and asked him to do something different. Because I think, his instincts are so spot on. And I will tell you 95% of what you see him do on camera is the first take or the second take. He's just so funny and so perfect, and he knows Jenkins so well. But you'll see tonight, this episode is really different than what we've seen of Jenkins before. And it's most of it's different because he really is the center of this episode. And I think there's a real difference between being a supporting character and being a lead character. And you see it, like, I think you saw it with the Hidden Sanctuary episode with Cassandra, like, her stepping out from being like a supporting character and being like just an episode about her, basically. It's a different, you sort of have to modulate your performance because you're taking on a different role. And so John and I talked a lot about that in this episode. And the first time I went up to him and asked him to do something different, I was nervous, but he was so responsive and he really trusted me in such a beautiful way. And when he did it, and it worked, and you could feel that it worked, and like everyone behind camera was like tearing up, and like and he knew it. I walked up to him and he was like, "You were right," and I was like, "Yeah." Oh, it was like the first time, but like that gave me a lot of confidence to keep talking to him and realizing just that I had a lot to offer.
That's awesome. I'm actually curious now because you're saying that Larroquette was so in touch with Jenkins as a character. Was it strange having to work with, I can't remember his name and I feel terrible for it, but the actor who plays Jeff, who at times would have to pretend to be Jenkins, but all, like he as Jeff pretending to be Jenkins, but then also be like pretending to be Jenkins trapped in his own body. Was that weird having to work with him, like pretending to be Jenkins in multiple different ways? Yeah,
guys, we have the greatest supporting cast tonight. Our guest stars are going to knock your socks off. I'm so proud of them. Andrew Caldwell plays Jeff. He is extraordinary. He's so funny and so perfect. I hung out with him a lot before we started shooting. I talked to him a lot about Jenkins and about John and about our relationship and about Jenkins and Cassandra's relationship. And he watched, he did his research. He's a really good actor. He did his research. He watched all the shows. He was really familiar, and he came in and just really nailed it. He's so funny, and he's got such a huge heart, and I think you'll see both of those in evidence tonight. And also Ryan Schwartz, Brittany Young, and Joseph Berteau play our main sort of like gang, and they are hilarious and sweet and wonderful, and I love them. And Janine Jackson plays Jeff's mom, and I adore her, and I want to be her when I grow up. And it's just a great group of people. I was really fortunate to, and I actually got all my choices, so I'm really, really happy with the guest cast that we have tonight.
That's awesome. And Satirical Sunflower in the chat just asked was there anything different about choosing your own performance direction for Cassandra rather than having another director tell you for like certain changes?
Yeah, the good thing about directing my own performance was that on this show, I'm really familiar with Cassandra. Like, I know her backwards and forwards, and it's not easy for me to play her right now, but it's easier than it would be if I was just starting, or if it was a movie. And I've got, like, people have asked me if I want to direct a movie and star in a movie. I would like to direct a movie, and I would like to star in a movie, but I do not want to direct the movie that I star in, because I think it's really hard. It's really, really hard. So I didn't give myself a lot of direction. I just did what I do and what I trust in Cassandra. And I did have, I had a lot of people watching my back, and, our writer, Marco, was there with me. And if he had seen something go terribly awry, like I'd suddenly given Cassandra a weird accent, he would have let me know that was a bad directing choice.
You didn't accidentally give Cassandra a weird accent at any point, did you?
No.
Okay, that's good.
You will see the Cassandra you know and love tonight. Don't worry.
Becks, do you want to ask your question?
I want to, but I think I forgot how to speak right now.
Oh, Becks, give yourself a funny accent.
I already have one. Does anyone remember my question I want to ask?
Oh my God.
Bisexuality.
Can anyone ask it for me?
Oh my God. Becks is a very huge fan of you, and she's been freaking out since we confirmed this with you. So I will ask for her. Are you sure, Becks? You positive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were wondering, like, about Cassandra's bisexuality and, like, how that came to be. Like, I know Dean Devlin said a little bit about it and how it's just how she always was, but, like, did you think about it early on in the seasons, or, like, was it something that just sort of happened?
Well, Becks, thanks for asking. You know, I love Cassandra for a lot of reasons, and the reason that I love her the most is that she's not one thing. And she has been, from the very beginning, sort of like light and dark and life and death and smart and whimsical and funny and deeply dramatic. And she's not one thing. And it's been really amazing exploring that. And the first season, we didn't talk about it at all, and we didn't think about it at all. And it's something that just came out, really, of the fandom, that people sort of picked up on. This is like sort of who this girl was. And I talked a lot about it with John Rogers at the time. And we sort of, I guess, even in the beginning of second season, we had a conversation about it, that it was something that we were interested in pursuing in a way that was not exploitative in any way or sort of over the top in any way. And we didn't want to call her anything or name her anything. We didn't want to label her, because we felt like the second we started labeling her, she lost what was so special about her, which is that she does not fit into a box. Mm-hmm. So I've actually never even referred to Cassandra as bisexual, though clearly she is. But to me, what she's always just been is a person who loves life. And that is what she leads with. She leads with her heart. She's the most open character I've ever, and I think I will ever get a chance to play, because she just loves. And it's beautiful, and it's easy for her, and she doesn't judge her, and she's found an amazing group of friends who don't judge her either. And I wish everyone could have that experience in their life, and I know a lot of people don't. And so it's amazing for me to be able to play a character like that, that really, that is really supported in exactly who she is. Becks, was that good?
Yeah.
That was so beautiful. Thank you.
That was really fantastic to hear. I feel bad because we've been kind of throwing the label at her, because a lot of us, like, in this group are queer, and like I think like half of us identify as bisexual. So the moment we saw that, we were like, yes, that she's one of us.
Yeah, and I totally get that, and like I totally get that, and I love that. But to me, it's just the second we start calling her something, that's what makes it different. I love that people can look at her and relate to her for a million different reasons. I love that people look at her and go, she's such a nerd. That's so amazing. I'm a nerd too. But I'm not going to call her a nerd, because to me, she's not. Or I'm not going to call her this, or I'm not going to call her that. You know, like she doesn't like it. You know, even I think last episode, Ezekiel called her a bookworm, and she like took such offense to it. It's like she does not want to be labeled at all, even when it's like definitely true.
Face looked so upset in that scene when you were saying that Ezekiel, you're like, we all work in a library. You looked so upset. It was great.
That was a great line.
Yeah.
Where was it? Who was it? Oh, Peachy Drake, which I believe is our friend Aaron in the chat, was curious if you had any interest in writing and being a sort of a triple threat like Noah is, with writing, directing, and acting.
How great is Noah Wiley as a writer, actor, and director? I'm so proud of him. He's so good. I would love to. I mean, I'm not writing currently, but I wasn't directing currently this time last year either. So I'm not going to put any labels on myself, but we'll see. Writers are, again, it's just something that I have such enormous respect for. You know, I love our writers on the show. I love all the writers I've ever worked with. Basically, the ability to create something out of nothing is so incredible, and I'm just in awe of them. So we'll see. We'll see. Right now I'm a little scared of that, but I'm big into conquering fears right now, so that might be nice.
Especially after that Cassandra episode, it makes sense.
Exactly. See, I learned from her too.
That feels like a good lead-in for my question.
Okay.
Oh, what? Okay.
I was going to
I don't really have a question. I have something to say, basically, kind of. For a long time, I wanted to become a screenwriter, and I thought that was all I was going to want to do. And then I started to really become interested in maybe directing one day. But I thought, no, I'm never going to be able to do that. Nobody's going to want to really listen to me. So I thought I'd only have to ever want to be a writer. But I just wanted you to know that you've helped inspire me to not put myself in a box, I guess, as you would say.
Thank you so much. I love that. You're far too young to put yourself in a box and tell yourself you can't do things. I mean it. I did not think I was going to be able to direct. I always said, I don't like telling people what to do enough to direct. And I was scared of it. I was scared of being the one in charge and the one who everyone turned to. And, you know, it was really scary. And there were questions that sometimes I didn't know the answer to. And someone gave me a great piece of advice, and it was that directing is being absolutely certain about one thing and telling everyone to do one thing, and then immediately after that, changing your mind and with the exact same amount of certainty saying, nope, we're going in that direction. And you just be confident and convince everyone else. And it's such great advice, because you just have to go with it, because everything changes at any given moment, and it's your ability to adapt that really makes or breaks you.
Sylvester in the chat just asked if, now that you've had your first time directing, do you think you found your voice as a director yet?
Hi, Sylvester. I don't know. I don't know, because I have this incredible privilege of directing the show that I know so well and I love so well. But it is, on a TV show, you're sort of within a confine of what the show is and how the show works. And so I think I'm in the process of finding my voice. And I think, like with any sort of artistic endeavor, with any endeavor ever, I think it's actually, you're never done. So I'll never have found it. I think I'll constantly keep looking for it.
I have a question.
Yes?
Since this episode is like a D&D kind of episode, did you have to do a lot of research into it before going into the episode?
I'm very excited about this.
I've never played D&D in my life. So yeah, I did, because I'm a research addict. Like, I love knowing everything about everything. All of those crazy theories that you see Cassandra talk about, I read about them and figure them out so I understand them. Like, I am a nut for research. And so yeah, I went deep into the D&D world. I went and I watched. I was a total lurker at a D&D cafe in Portland. Like, I just hung out and watched people play. All those guys now are like, oh, that's who that weird girl was. I went to like bookshops where they sold comic D&D manuals and stuff, and I talked to people about their stinks and about their work and about how they play their games and their sort of habits. I did a lot of reading online, watched some amazing movies. There's a great documentary called The Dwarvenaut that was spectacular and super inspiring. And I watched people play online, which is so nerdy. It's even nerdy. I mean, I did all the nerdy things. I watched people for like hours play online. This is so a weird time in my life. But yeah, I watched a lot of D&D and I loved it. I gotta tell you, I would never thought I would be into it. I was so into it. All I want to do is play D&D and find a group of people that would be willing to take me on, because I don't really understand it and I need someone to teach me.
You have a whole group here.
I'm a terrible role player.
I think
He does.
Oh yeah.
I used to read the books all the time when I was a kid, and the books are good.
Oh, cool.
The books are good.
I play Settlers of Catan. That's my game. You guys played that?
I probably love Dungeons and Dragons as much as I love the Librarians. So.
Oh wow! Okay. Well, tonight is your night.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That answer was actually a good lead into a question from my friend Anna. I wanted to know if it's hard for you to memorize all the long, complicated words and equations that you have to say, and if there's a method you use to remember all of that stuff.
Hi, Anna. I am blessed with an incredibly good memory. It is not, I know a lot of actors who aren't. So I would not say it's like a requirement of the job, but my memory is really good and it always has been. It's not a completely photographic memory, but I have a little bit of a photographic aspect to it. And so that helps. I also, sometimes I'll read my lines onto my phone, like in the voice memo section, and play them back so I can hear them when I'm like working out or something. Also, I'll do that on the treadmill. I'll put my script on the treadmill. If I'm doing something else while I'm looking at them, that's really helpful. I also do a lot of work in the bathtub. I take a bath every night when I'm working, and I'll sit in the tub and go over the next day's work. And I find that I'm so relaxed that maybe, I don't know, I tell myself I'm so relaxed that it goes into my head easier that way. There's no science behind it. It's just who I am.
If it works, it works.
Right?
Mind over matter.
I'm pretty good at memorizing things. I do think it's like a muscle. Like I get super scared when I haven't been working for a little while that I'm going to go back to set and be like, just like not be able to say anything.
You need a brain training app.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just repetition and like.
Would that be a brain grape app?
No.
Kira, please.
We can reminisce.
We can reminisce.
So unfortunately, it looks like we're going to need to wrap up soon. But we could end on a fun question from, unfortunately, a name that I can't read because it's in Russian. But someone wanted to know, would you like to have a superpower? And if so, what would it be?
Oh, people love this question. It's so funny. I would love to be able to fly. I'm terrified of heights, like truly, truly petrified of heights. I will tell you, there was one incident on our set where we were on like a sort of fire escapey thing on a building. You won't remember this because we couldn't shoot on it because I was so afraid that we couldn't shoot the scene. But we got out there and I was like, I'll be fine, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. We got halfway out and I froze. I started crying and I couldn't move. And John Larroquette ended up coming and getting me. Oh, and it was so sweet. And that was, I think that was season 1. It was the City of Lights episode. And I knew then that he was everything I ever wanted him to be. He was so sweet. He really was my knight in shining armor. So I would love to be able to fly because A, then I would not be afraid of falling. And B, I would love to just be able to see everything from a bird's eye point of view. I just think that would be so cool. Like I'm so always down on the ground looking up at the city, and I just love to be able to like sort of float and see it all. I love being on planes. I think it's so relaxing. I know people hate flying, but I love flying.
Oh, I love flying too. I know when we had gone to Portland, we like flew right over Mount Hood, and like I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and like that was incredible. But,
yeah.
I just realized, Alex, you didn't get the chance to ask a question. Was there anything you wanted to ask?
I saw it asked a few times in the chat about Cassandra's outfits. Anything about making process you had over this episode?
You guys, it's clearly my favorite subject, right? Like I clearly love clothes. So we have the best time. Critter Pierce is an evil genius. She is one of my favorite people on set. Jacqueline is my seamstress. She makes all those. When you see my outfits and you're like, how is that? It's usually because we've taken 3 shirts and put them into one shirt, and then taken earrings and turned them into buttons, and then taken a belt and made it into a headband, and then taken a headband and made it into a belt. And then we've taken socks and cut them all off and sewn 3 socks together into one. Jacqueline is in charge of all of that. She's amazing. Sierra is my sweet, sweet on-set wardrobe girl. I love her. She's one of my best friends too. She's responsible for making sure I haven't dropped any pieces on my way to set. I love these girls so much. They're so wonderful and so talented, and we have such a great time picking these outfits. And we really crafted Cassandra. If you go back and look at episode 1, we've crafted this huge arc for her through her clothing and through the use of different fabrics and colors and sleeve lengths and layers, and the way we've sort of just let her transform the way that the character has. And it's been sort of this like butterfly coming out of a cocoon thing. I love clothes. That's part of me. That's part of who I am. I play dress up every day. I put on the outfit that who I want to be. Sometimes I wear menswear. Sometimes I wear baby doll dresses. Sometimes I wear, you know, a tracksuit. Sometimes I wear a formal dress to a completely informal occasion. And I very rarely wear jeans. This is who I am, and we've taken a little bit of that, and Cassandra's really just like an explosive version of me. Like this sweater, I was like, this looks like Cassandra would wear this, right? It's mine.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we thought. Like, I know we all thought that.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, you're rocking it. You look great.
Yeah, but it's mine. So yeah, the clothes are great. I have so much fun with it, and I love working with those. I got to tell you guys, the fans are such an amazing part of this show. You guys have all been so supportive. All of you guys, Caniacs, the Kimtastics, the Laricetics, I can't even say that word.
Laricetics?
Yeah, clearly I am one, and I can't even say it. But all you guys are so sweet, and you've been so amazing and supportive to us, and really, you know, everything we do is for you guys, because, I mean, it's a lot for us too, because we have a lot of fun, but we really do love how much you guys love the show. And this crew is so amazing. The crew that we work with up in Portland, you guys got a chance to see that. They're so incredibly talented, so generous and so kind. And they were all so supportive of me directing. To the very last person, I can't tell you how much the experience meant to me.
Well, honestly, we're so thankful for how much you guys dedicate yourselves to this show as much as we do, and like we just admire everything that you do and everyone does that works on this show. So, you know, thank you for that.
Of course, we have the best time, and so we're all fingers crossed for season 5.
Yes. So are we.
Yes.
On that note, it looks like we should probably wrap up. We've actually had you for a little longer than I said we would.
Yeah, you guys have an episode to go watch.
Yep, so that's coming up in about 20 minutes. So, you know, guys, don't forget, live tweet, hashtag the librarians, hashtag renew the librarians, tag at TNT Drama, make them pay attention to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.